Well, how do there, chums, design Captain of the Steves. And today, chums, for you guys out there in the viewerverse, I want to talk a little bit about these drones that are being spotted over New Jersey. Now, a lot of these drones, they actually take format of like a small UAV, like an unmanned vehicle, like almost like mini planes. They're a lot larger than conventional drones with the prop shafts, you know, the ones you'll think of when somebody says drone. And I'm wondering whether we should be a little bit more alarmed or a little bit more concerned about these things than what they seem to be at the moment. It feels to me that these are being played down massively, and also the risk that comes with having drones flying over in this sort of amount of number. So apparently there's already been a couple of crashes. That's one concern if these things come down. But, you know, this is what I kind of think that they are. This sort of size of things. So let me just hit play on this. There you go.
This surveillance UAV got to be one of the most unique RC airplanes I think I've ever flown. And I just flew this thing for a long time.
And when I say long time, I mean it. That's because I'm running two of these 5900 milliamp batteries in parallel, which is giving me 11,800 milliamps of 6S power. It fits no problem, and you could even put in more. It calls for 8,000 to 20,000 milliamps. Now this is 4-channel. We have elevators, we have ailerons, we're gonna have flaps, our throttle, and our rudder only works on that front wheel, so I'm probably gonna mix in some tailerons. The real military RQ-7 Shadow has that camera on the bottom for surveillance, so you know I had to mimic it with the GoPro. Now, even though I didn't have somebody to record, you know I had to show you guys a nice takeoff with this, and I was even comfortable flying one-handed, and I wanted you to hear that pusher pop. It does look amazing from the ground, but nothing beats that view from that bottom camera. It really is an amazing plane.
This surveillance UAV got to...
Okay, so now this chap looks like he made this himself. Now, these drones that we're seeing above New Jersey, I feel are fairly similar to this. I mean, they even make a similar sort of sound when they're actually captured on footage flying over. I think they're slightly more advanced than this, but even on this one he's managed to put in giant batteries to give it a decent flight time. But even that flight time isn't enough of a flight time to fly it from Russia or China into New Jersey. It's got to be launched from somewhere, either around the seaboard or even inland. And that's my worry, is where are these things coming from? Fair enough, you can't shoot them down because they're loaded with lithium batteries, which could cause fire and is very dangerous to do. But surely by now we should have been able to track these things back to source. If they are UAVs, if they are drones, they're not UFO crafts from alien worlds or different dimensions that can outrun what we have when it comes to maneuverability. Why haven't they put in the ability to track these things? Why haven't they not sent out some sort of copter or a decent sort of like fighter jet just to track these things back to source? It's beyond me. Okay, and we need to find out where they're coming from first and foremost. My main concern is these things have got dominance over the airspace over New Jersey right now, and we're not shooting them down, we're not taking them out, and we're not tracking them back to the actual place of origin. Now, when I say about shooting them down or taking them down, I don't mean just, you know, civilians with air rifles or whatever, or machine guns or something, because that's just craziness. I'm on about proper takedown of them using the correct kit. We've got things that can jam signals to drones, and you can actually take control of a drone and bring it down. There's a lot of clearances that things have to go through to get to that stage, but surely we've had a good week of this now. They should have been able to get something cleared and through, and we should be taking control of these and bringing them down safely. Or if not that, you've probably seen that over here in prisons in the UK, people fly things in drones over to the prisons, to the prison windows, where the prison guards have got little cannons that fire a ball up that fires a net over the things and brings them down securely that way. Some of these drones are a lot smaller than the drone that he's got in his hands right now. But even still, you could probably still get a net over that and bring it down to some degree in a controlled way that's not going to just bring it straight down in a nosedive. I'm fairly sure we could recover one of these things. You know, it's weird that we haven't already brought one down controllably and actually analysed where it's coming from, and we got answers within like the first 3 nights of this happening. It's bizarre. Especially since, well, right now, we're all quite focused on this war against Russia, and Ukraine has turned the tides of this war. Guess what? By using drones. Here you go. Take a listen to this.
The Ukrainian military has been outgunned, struggling for months with a shortage of ammunition and artillery shells. What's helped it hold back Russian forces was replacing conventional weapons with commercial technology. Drones that have taken to the skies over the front lines in Ukraine are basically the same platforms for sale in electronics stores, but turned into weapons of war. For as little as a few $100s, a small over-the-counter drone equipped with an explosive can destroy military equipment worth millions of dollars. Alexander Kamyshin is Ukraine's Minister of Strategic Industries.
I think you've seen enough of that one. I don't want to scare the freaking pants off of you right before blinking Christmas. But you get what I'm saying with this. This is a bit worrying, isn't it? So anyway, chums, I kind of feel that these sort of sightings of the UAVs and these drones are a proper threat, because they've got free reign over the airspace right now. They're not being taken down, they're not being tracked, and whoever owns them are flying them over places that are secure, or should have secure airspace. Where it's offendingly to be flying them over these, they've definitely got no respect for the law, whoever is doing this. Now, I'll tell you something that's almost impossible to do. If you just type in compilation of New Jersey drone footage, all you're going to find is mainstream news media. You can't find any videos uploaded by residents in New Jersey because it's just completely saturated with news clips. And I know that if I played any of these in my background, I'm going to get flagged for it, which is really freaking annoying. I just want some compilation footage of stuff that people have uploaded. Can I find anything like that on a place called YouTube? A place where you can upload stuff onto a tube? No, it's all been very commercialized. The way that YouTube is changing is not something that I desire or like as much as I used to. I mean, even on the filters, it'd be nice if you could actually filter out commercial or news, you know? I just want stuff from Joe Blogs. That's what YouTube was designed for, funny enough. Now, this video I'm about to play, you can't find on YouTube, but this is the footage that a lot of the news channels have been talking about all the orbs being seen out at sea. And for whatever reason, they're not playing this footage. And I think a lot of the drone footage that we're seeing at the moment is to distract us away from these ones. I mean, this is sighted out at sea, far out at sea, where there's not going to be much signal for flying these things remotely. You don't pilot UAVs from right out at sea, this far out at sea. You usually have them in some sort of hut or something. Anyway, here you go. I'll press play.
All of a sudden, bam! What is that?
Look at that. That's insane.
Know what that is? We're in the middle of the ocean on a ferry. Nothing around. Look. Nothing around. No land, no nothing. All of a sudden, bam! What is that?
Exactly. What is that? Now, I think these are genuine UAPs, like UFOs, and people have seen them coming out of the ocean, and we've actually tracked these things moving just as fast as they do in the air underneath the ocean. I think we do have genuine alien phenomenon happening right now, but what we're seeing over New Jersey ain't it. These feel very commercialized, and somebody is flying them, and it's got to be inland or somewhere very close to shore, and we should be tracking them back to source. Okay, so this is the footage of the sort of setup that you need to actually fly one of these UAVs.
This is an MQ-9 Reaper drone, easily distinguished from other aircraft by its opaque canopy. That's because the pilot sits here, even as this Reaper flies over the high plains of New Mexico. This portable container is called a ground control station, or GCS, which can be up to 1,600 miles away from the drone. That's about the distance from New York City to Puerto Rico. Over the last 2 decades, the Reaper has completely changed the state of modern warfare.
But it's not the distance of Russia and China to the US, okay? And you saw the amount of wires. You can see the amount of technology in the background inside of this sort of like little setup. It's not amateur by any stretch of the imagination. It's a proper professional setup. So if somebody is flying these drones, and you can only fly one drone at a time remotely, so they're going to have a setup like this with multiple UAV pilots in. It's quite a setup. It's quite an undertaking. Surely this can't be happening underneath the noses of the FBI, the CIA, and the intelligence agencies in the US. Otherwise, it's a bit of a balls up. And when I say a bit, this is colossal. Colossal. Okay, well, I'm just going to put some footage behind me anyway. This is from CBS, but I think you've all probably seen these drones. Now, some of them look like commercial aircraft, and some of them definitely aren't commercial aircraft. They're too small and they're flying too low, and they seem to be flying under radar. So radar picks up planes after they get to a certain height. It's why a lot of stealth planes fly low, but it's also why a lot of these sort of drones fly low, to go under the flight path radar. Now, a lot of the actual sightings that are said to be commercial airlines, you can simply rule those out by using an app on your phone, which actually tells you what's in the sky and what shouldn't be in the sky. So if you do see something flying overhead and you're in New Jersey, just get a flight app and see if there's anything that should be in the sky in the region where you're seeing it. And if it isn't, then hopefully you can say, okay, well, this is a UAP, and try and capture it on video. But if it is something that there is a flight path there, it's probably going to be commercial flight. So there are ways and means, and I'm fairly sure the people of New Jersey know the difference between a plane and what isn't a plane. It's like that last one that we just saw that looked like a small plane. I think is actually a UAV. It's too small to be a commercial aircraft. It doesn't have the windows down the side. It's got some strange light bars down the front that almost makes it look like a trident. Now, I have jumped online and I have tried looking at UAVs that are made around the world, in China, in Russia, places like that, to see if there is a UAV that fits this description and bill when it comes to lights and makeup, and I cannot find anything currently. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, because a lot of these countries use a different sort of language set and keyboard set than I'm used to, so I haven't got the capacity or the know-how to search for everything inside of those language sets and models. But I honestly do think that these could be improvised and changed. Now that they've got dominance over the sky and they've been flying across US airspace without being challenged, whoever is in control of these has got the upper hand. And it wouldn't take much to modify them, like we've seen in the war against Russia with Ukraine in that footage that I put out earlier. So for the government to be downplaying this, to say that they pose no risk, there's a massive risk there. This reminds me of when we had the Chinese spy balloon flying across the states, and that got downplayed as well, until it finally got shot down months later. Is this going to go on for months? And this is a bigger risk. This is massive. I can't understand why we haven't tracked them back to source, and I can't understand why we haven't had more answers on this, because this, to me, is a massive risk to security. And if they can't see that, and if they want to carry on downplaying it, more fool them, because right now the world is looking at the US saying, this is a freaking laughing stock. How is your airspace not locked down, especially after freaking 9/11? Come on! Do something about this. Track them to source, find out who they are, find out their origins, and put a stop to it. That's what I reckon. What do you reckon? Sound up in the comments. Let me know. And cheery bye.